Jared Ward, fresh off the Boston Marathon, finished 8th. You hit a target mark that you were really aiming for, and I know you were super excited about that. What have the last, I guess, 72 hours been like for you as you transitioned back from Boston, now back into normal life?
Oh, man, some sore legs and a plane flight and, you know, avoiding stairs as much as I can.
So you didn't go by the Richards building then?
Nope. The semester's over as far as I'm concerned, and I'm going to take a couple months to recover, and then I'll attack those stairs again.
Wait, so you took 6th in the marathon in Rio, and that was amazing in the Olympics. And then 8th here in the Boston Marathon, top 10. I guess what was your goal, and were you online for that? You ran I think a PR, right?
Yeah, 2-minute PB for me, and I'm super happy about that. And the conditions were good. They weren't perfect, but they were good. And so the start line of the race, that's what I was thinking was, you know, I don't know. They really had an all-star field there. They had I think they had, between men's and women's fields, they had 9 people who had won the Boston Marathon at some previous year. And,
incredible.
And frankly, most of those runners are still pretty relevant right now. And so it was a deep field, and I didn't know, you know, where I'd stack up in there, but I certainly felt ready to run sub 2:10, and it earned me 8th.
2 hours, 9 minutes, 25 seconds. When you crossed the line and you knew that you had gone sub 2:10, what's going through your mind?
Well, so there was a guy out in front of me that I was closing on in the last few steps, and so I crossed the line passing someone, not knowing if I had passed him or not. And so that was what was first on my mind. But then saw my wife came out, Erica, and our youngest, Magnolia, 3 months old, and
Magnolia?
Magnolia.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she's as pretty as the flower too.
Yes.
But yeah, met up with them. You know, they were right there after the finish line, and a big hug from her. And she didn't know how fast I had run, and so it was almost her reaction when I told her that I ran 2:09 that really was the special memory of running 2:09, because she was just, you know, she started crying and was excited, and that was a fun moment for us.
Had you you had run Boston before, right?
One time.
What place did you take?
10th.
10th. Okay. So
but I was 2:15, and so at the time it was, I would have probably considered it my poorest marathon performance at the time. But it was just, you know, it was a little bit of a hotter year and slower day. But
it's such a big event, and it's one of the biggest marathons, right, that are out there. So what's it like to finish in the top 10 of that race, having been at the Olympics and now run this twice?
It's cool. I mean, outside of the Olympics, it's hard. I mean, there's a lot of good marathons, and there's a lot of big marathons, and there's a lot of them that I love. But Boston is certainly the, you know, kind of the oldest, biggest stage that you can compete on as a marathon runner outside of the Olympic Games. So it's cool. The crowds are amazing, and the buzz in Boston is real. The town shuts down for Patriots Day or Marathon Monday, whatever you want to call it, and it's a cool experience.
Now, we all know the tragedy that occurred not too long ago in Boston, and it really has created this amazing Boston Strong movement. What's the culture like? What's the atmosphere like with that in play as you're running in the marathon?
It's real. It's real. And Boston, like, you don't mess with Boston. I mean, we saw what happened in the hours that followed that tragic accident, and how Boston came together, and you don't mess with them. And, you know, I got the chance to go to a charity event honoring Martin Richards, the 8-year-old boy that was lost in that tragedy, and got to meet his parents and talk a little bit. And it's fun, you know, and that's what I was excited to share about, you know, an outsider's perspective of coming into Boston, is that that Boston cares, Boston rises up, Boston competes, and Boston shows you that, you know, they don't care who you are. They're there to look out for each other, and I think it's amazing that sometimes things like that can really, you know, people rally around and support each other in the aftermath, and it's cool.
That's why I love sports, man. It's
crazy,
it's a vehicle for these emotions, right? At one point in the race, you were leading. Was that something you were hoping to do? And I guess what was it like to lead that pack of mostly Kenyans, and then you and a few other guys, right?
Well, yeah, it's pretty fun to lead the Boston Marathon. I wish I could have led it for a little longer. But no, it was, you know, really the move was at about 10 or 11 miles, the pace was slipping a little bit, and I thought, this is my day to run 2:09. I'm not going to toy around running 10 or 15 seconds per mile slower for a few miles here while we get back to pace. I'm just going to go up and keep the pace the same. And when I did that, no one decided to go with me. And so I thought, well, if you want to let me win the race too, I'm okay with that, but I'm going to keep running this pace. But what I found was up there was that it was, you know, it was just so fun to be in front of the Boston Marathon. You feel like all of the crowds are just for you, you know, when you're the only person running up there and you're the first one coming through. And so I led through the Wellesley Scream Tunnel, and and it's deafeningly loud. Like your ears are ringing a little bit after, and I gave him a little, you know, cupped my ears. I went past, and it probably got twice as loud. And it was so fun to feel like, you know, I was a basketball player playing with the fans on the court or something like that. And anyways, cool experience, and don't regret it for a second, hopping up there to lead, even if it was just for 2 or 3 miles.
Well, that's awesome, because we found out you were top 10 and ran a PR in the middle of the show Monday.
That's awesome.
So we were stoked, man. So it's pretty cool to have you in 2 days later. And yeah, super proud of you repping the Y in that race. And then a Portland grad.
That's right.
Finished top 10 as well.
Yeah. So he, Scott Fauble, kind of developed, I mean, I guess carrying this rivalry all the way from the West Coast Conference. But yeah, he had a fantastic race, huge breakthrough race for him, and super happy for him. And, you know, I think both he and I are really looking forward to the Olympic cycle and the Olympic trials, and feel pretty well positioned for that.
Yeah, we're not too far away from the Olympic trials next year.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Feels like just yesterday we were in here talking about Rio.
Yes. And I was watching you Sunday morning on vacation in Idaho, like in the marathon. Yeah, it was great. It was awesome.
We might as well just give you the BYU Sports Nation karma now.
Let's give
whatever
it to
you
yeah.
want.
We'll talk to you later
utilize
for
it
sure.
however you want.
Yeah,
Jared.
we'll talk to you later for sure.
And maybe it's just surviving the transition back into real life after the Boston Marathon. Sure. I don't think you have signed our new Sailor Kook flag, have you?
I don't think so either.
I don't think so.
In fact,
can we put my name on there?
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
we would love your autograph. Congratulations, man.
I love the Sailor, you know. These,
yeah, Sailor Kook's the best, right?
Let's go. We love your mustache, by the way, too.
It's still there.
It's just
still there.
part of the
beautiful.
legacy.